Hello there, thank you for joining us on TVC News at 10. The headlines tonight.
INEC fixes 23rd of March full supplementary polls, keeps mum over elections in Rivers.
Suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria Walter Onon's trial stalled over ill health.
Outside Nigeria, British lawmakers reject Theresa May's Brexit deal for a second time.
And in sports, Louis van Gaal announces retirement from football management.
Hello and welcome. The Independent National Electoral Commission has fixed the 23rd of March for supplementary governorship elections in states where they were declared inconclusive.
Well, the National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, says the polls will hold in Adamawa, Bauchi, Benue, Kano, Plateau and Sokoto states. But the Electoral Commission was silent on the next course of action for Rivers State, where the electoral process was suspended. Mr. Okoye also disclosed that supplementary elections will be held in states where the State House of Assembly election were declared inconclusive. He says details of the constituencies, polling units and registered voters would be published by the Commission tomorrow.
In the aftermath of Saturday's governorship and National Assembly election, police in Oyo State have arrested 18 suspects. In addition, security agents say they have recovered 7 assorted arms and 30 rounds of live cartridges. Correspondent Olutayo Famous Cole has more.
The election in Oyo State might have come and gone. Winners and losers have emerged, but the police say they were on ground to forestall any breakdown of law and order. Indeed, the bad boys who were hell-bent on truncating the system have been busted.
As these challenges arises, they were immediately resolved, they were immediately tackled, arrests were made, recoveries were made. In the course of the electioneering period, the police arrested 18 suspects. So far, we have recovered about 7 assorted arms and about 30 rounds of live cartridges.
Reacting to the killing of a 7 lawmaker on election day, the cops say they have made a headway in their investigations and are gradually closing in on the mastermind of the heinous act, who will soon be brought to justice.
The death of the lawmaker, popularly known as AKA Sugar, was not particularly associated with elections. It was a pure case of murder. But so far, 1 suspect has been arrested, and we are working on information that is available to the police.
Since the conclusion of the voting exercise, tension and apprehension have reigned in the Ibadan metropolis. The Oyo State Police Commissioner urged residents to disregard fake news, assuring that their lives and properties were safe.
Let me use the opportunity to clear the air. There is no tension anywhere. But I want to agree, I want to accept that that story that initially went out tend to have gone viral. People want to believe that story, but it's not true. And that is the fact that we are telling them, that they should just ignore what the mischievous persons, the criminally minded individuals have put on the social media, that what the police who are on top of the situation in the state is saying is that the area is calm, they are free to go about their lawful duties and businesses. But for those who are criminally minded, whatever it is that they want to do, we are also ready to go after them.
The police chief in Oyo State also warned members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers to resist any temptation to disrupt the fragile peace in the state, as the police will respond swiftly to emergency situation. Olutayo Famous Cole, TVC News, Oyo State.
The National Assembly resumed from the election break today, but adjourned to mourn 2 lawmakers. The lawmakers described the assassination of one of them, Temitope Olatoye, on election day as a pill too bitter to swallow. The House also mourns a member, Bethel Amadi, who died recently of cancer. Both chambers will resume sitting on Wednesday.
Sad to see Sugar go. He was a quiet, gentle, but effective member of the House, and the House will miss him.
It's a very terrible incident that we have recorded, because for all it takes, somebody who's gone to perform his civic duty, the person's life is not even secured. So what else will I say that is very, very sad? That means Nigeria, we are drifting to more worse situations.
We need to begin to design an architecture that takes care of violence, whether during or pre or post elections. That's the only way to deal with violence, crime.
It's unfortunate that pockets of violence has erupted in several states, and it is our hope that this should not occur, and we as legislators, we will see our best to see how things like this cannot occur again.
Meanwhile, the All Progressives Congress caucus in the House of Representatives says the party will decide the members who will make up the leadership of the 9th National Assembly. The caucus made this known at the end of a closed-door meeting on Tuesday. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa has more.
The lawmakers described the just concluded polls as fairly credible, but declared pockets of violence which resulted in killings.
We condemn those who perpetrated violence in pockets of places and regret the loss of lives. One life that is lost is one life too many. We do not believe that contests such as this should ever lead to the loss of any human life.
It scores INEC high, despite some of the challenges experienced during the election, and calls on it to speedily conclude all inconclusive elections.
We congratulate the INEC. Despite the hiccups, the umpire gave us fairly credible elections. But as a country, we must strive for perfection and try to do better. In this regard, the legislature is key in retooling the electoral law and process and perfecting it going forward.
Asked how the leadership of the next National Assembly will be constituted, the legislators said the party's decision shall prevail.
It's international best practices. It's something that obtains everywhere in the world. The party will decide.
Whatever the challenges associated with the 2019 general election, the parliamentarians are convinced Nigeria's democracy is evolving, particularly as voters get more enlightened with every election. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Away from the National Assembly, the trial of the suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria, Walter Onohe, was stalled at the Code of Conduct Tribunal due to his ill health. TVC News' Celestina Area has more.
At the resumed hearing, Justice Walter Onohe was absent in court. His lead counsel, Adegboyega Awomolo, explained to the tribunal that his absence was occasioned by a toothache and high blood pressure, which was said to be around 210/121. He tendered a medical report from IOD Medical Services, Abuja, where the defendant was said to have been treated. The medical report was signed by one Dr. Francis Uche, the medical director of the hospital, recommended amongst others that Justice Onohe must observe 72 hours bed rest for his blood pressure to be properly monitored. Reacting to the development, counsel to the federal government, Aliyu Maru, admitted being copied in the letter and informed the tribunal that the issue of health is paramount in any human endeavor. But he replied that the trial be adjourned to 18th March to enable Justice Onohe have sufficient rest as recommended by his doctor. The prosecution counsel said his witnesses were in court and that he was ready to proceed with the trial, but prayed for an adjournment due to the ill health of the defendant. Delivering ruling, chairman of the tribunal agreed with the position of the prosecution and the medical report.
The doctor certified that he is not fit to be in court. What does that imply? It says the man is not fit, and it's only the living that can be prosecuted. It's only even the prosecutor admitted that the man he wants my lord the CJN to live. Do you want him alive? Do you want him alive? Yes. I want him alive. He will live.
We adjourned to 18th March 2019 because the defendant was not in court because of his medical condition. I told the court I was not going to comment on the medical report, but I took notice of the blood pressure as stated by the doctor. So I will not now start making comments.
The tribunal had ordered that proceedings be conducted on a day-to-day basis in order to ensure a speedy trial. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
Still ahead on the news at 10.
ADC PDP members in Ondo protest outcome of House of Assembly election.
Plus, Taraba State Governor Darius Ishaku re-elected for a second term. We have details after this break.
Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 10. Now, scores of members of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and the People's Democratic Party in Ondo State have staged a peaceful protest to the Secretariat of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Akure over outcome of the State Assembly elections there.
Our correspondent there, Ayodeji Moradio, has the details.
These are some aggrieved members of African Democratic Congress, ADC, and the People's Democratic Party, PDP, from Ondo East and Ondo West local government areas of Ondo State. They are protesting over the outcome of Saturday's House of Assembly election in the state. They started the protest on the streets before moving to the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Akure, the state capital. They are happy with the way the election was conducted.
I mean, you can see the people's anger through this protest. You know, what was done on that election day was wrong. You know, people were harassed, people were intimidated not to vote for their choice, and that's the reaction you're seeing here in the protest.
Well, like I said earlier, intimidation, harassment, and inducement were deployed before, during, and after the elections. There are cases of card readers not working. There are cases of areas where card readers were not used, and there are areas where overvoting took place. That is where the accredited number of voters did not tally with the total vote cast.
Armed with placards with various inscriptions, the aggrieved protesters called for the cancellation of the House of Assembly election in Ondo West and East local councils.
Yes, we're hoping INEC cancels the election, which, if not, we're definitely going to court. We're going to seek a redress in court.
We are calling for cancellation of the elections that took place on Saturday, 9th of March in Ondo West and East local government.
But the APC urged the opposition parties to accept defeat in good faith.
To us as a party, every election is another opportunity for us to test our popularity. And that is what we did. We'll go to the people who converse for their support. We'll remind them of what we've done and what we can do if they could trust us with their mandate. So the people were convinced that we are a better party, and they voted for us. That was what happened. In Ondo State, largely the election was peaceful.
The All Progressive Congress, APC, won 23 out of 26 seats in the State Assembly, while the PDP got 2. And the Senate Labour Party said LP took 1. Ayodeji Moradio, TVC News, Akure, Ondo State.
Well, the Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Governor Darius Ishaku winner of the governorship election in Taraba State. Governor Ishaku won his second bid under the banner of the People's Democratic Party. Returning Officer Shehu Iya says the governor polled 520,433 votes. We have details in this report.
23 candidates of different political parties overwhelmed Taraba State with their electioneering campaigns, selling their political ideologies. Announcing the outcome of their individual and party efforts in the governorship election, returning officer Shehu Iya said Governor Darius Ishaku won 12 of the 16 local governments of the state with 520,433 votes, while the candidates of the All Progressives Congress and former acting governor of the state, Sani Danladi, trailed with 362,575 to win 4 local governments. Nigeria's former Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Aisha Al-Hassan, contested on the platform of the United Democratic Party and scored 16,289 votes.
That is Dixon Ishaku of the PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared winner and is returned elected.
In his acceptance speech, elated Governor Ishaku thanked residents of Taraba for entrusting him with their mandates. He promised to continue with developmental projects across the 16 local governments.
I also want to thank the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for conducting this election without any rancor in a peaceful manner in all the nooks and corners of the state. Fellow Tarabans, let me therefore use this opportunity to congratulate all of you for unanimously resolving to vote for peace and development and progress. This you demonstrated by casting your vote freely and democratically on Saturday.
Taraba went agog over Governor Ishaku's victory as people took to major streets. Some residents during chats with TVC News set new agenda for the governor.
In the last 2 years, he has done a lot in bringing up the performance, improving the performances of the state in WAEC and NECO. But there is still a lot more to be done in the area of education.
The governor is a man of his words. He has said it that he is going to improve upon what he has been doing for the people. He is going to make sure that projects, people-oriented projects, are fully implemented.
Governor Ishaku's re-election confirmed his performance as residents glowingly demonstrated their appreciation at the poll with a wish that he does more in the next 4 years.
The governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, says his re-election for another 4-year term would bring more developmental projects to the state. The former minister says, though elated, he had seen the victory coming. Tese Makede has the story.
This was the atmosphere in the office of the Kaduna State Governor after he was declared winner of the governorship election in the state. Friends, well-wishers, politicians and staff at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim House were elated at the victory. Outside his office, still within the government house, party faithful were on the streets dancing. And El-Rufai described his re-emergence as the people's mandate.
Even before we started preparing for the elections, we had done our numbers and we were reasonably confident we were going to win. But with every election, you don't declare victory until the last vote is counted. So I was relieved that our expectations were met.
For people around the governor, Kaduna is in for better days with Mr. El-Rufai's re-election. Muyiwa Adekeye, the governor's special advisor, media and communication, is one of them. He says working with El-Rufai over the years has been inspiring.
There's a long way to go. I think we've shown that a focus on the things that matter to ordinary people can be done sustainably, and that ordinary people can understand who is on their side.
But what will be his focus in the next 4 years is a question newsmen posed to him. The Kaduna governor says he believes he's on the right track and promises consolidation and improvement on his achievements.
We will introduce 2 or 3 new reforms, new innovations that we have been working on but were unable to move on with. For instance, we want to introduce a social security system for the state. We are studying the system in Mauritius and Seychelles. We want to introduce legislation that will enable everyone in Kaduna State that is an adult that is unemployed get a stipend so that nobody is hungry, for instance.
The days ahead will tell whether or not he would keep to his promise. Many want a government for all, And the re-elected governor has assured democratic dividends would indeed get to all. Tessam Akende, TVC News, Kaduna.
And we move from one poll winner in Kaduna State to another in Zamfara, where Governor-elect Muktar Shehu Idris has pledged to consolidate the development already achieved in the state. Mr. Idris has promised to justify the confidence reposed in him and assures people of more dividends of democracy.
I use this opportunity to show my profound gratitude to the people of Zamfara State who came out en masse on the 9th of March to vote for me as their elected governor. I really appreciate all your effort. People came out through the sun and hardship to vote for me. If you reflect back, you see what happened in the last 5 months, the trauma and the tussles and the hurdles we went through to get ourselves there. We really appreciate all your efforts. So we would like to assure you that everything is going to be possible, and all the goodies you enjoyed today at Abdulaziz Abubakar is going to be continued. And lastly, I would like to call on the people that we contested together that politics is over. This is time for us to come back and put our hands together, put our hands on desk to move Zamfara State forward.
As reactions trail the just concluded governorship election, candidate of the Action Alliance in Imo State is planning to challenge the victory of the People's Democratic Party candidate. Uche Nwosu claims Emeka Ihedioha did not meet the constitutional requirement to be declared governor. The governor-elect is, however, not bothered, as is set now for the task ahead. He says his administration will revitalize the state.
The home of the Imo State Governor-elect, Emeka Ihedioha, has become a beehive of activities since he won Saturday's election. As people troop in to congratulate him, Mr. Ihedioha uses the opportunity to roll out his plans for the state.
Under my watch, we'll try and unite Imo, or reunite Imo. We used to be one state, and we'll have to get back to one state. There will be no Okigwe zone, there will be no Olu zone, there will be no Owerri zone under my watch as governor of our state, so we'll try to get and incorporate everybody.
The governor-elect has a word for those who contested the election with him.
Because I believe that my compatriots who contested for governorship under different party platforms have their ideas and goals and aspirations. We shall work together where possible. I will make efforts to invite and incorporate as much as I can. And for me, I believe anyone who has anything to offer to our state is welcome, irrespective of your party affiliation. And because there are wonderful people across the various parties in our state.
But one of his fellow contestants, Uche Nwosu of the Action Alliance, says Emeka Ihedioha did not win the election. He argues that the returning officer declared Mr. Ihedioha the winner in error.
Emeka Ihedioha, who was declared winner, did not meet up to 2/3 of the entire local government of Imo State. I mean, as per the winning, for him to be declared winner. And again, the level of manipulation in the 3 local governments that he got the highest votes is unacceptable. Imo State REC worked with Emeka Ihedioha. I think the REC of Imo State is a member of PDP. No card reader were used in these 3 local governments. Results were manipulated, results were carted away, results were written outside the INEC offices, outside the polling units, even outside the ward collection centers. Results were written all over and brought to the local government. So it's not acceptable. We condemn it and we will not accept the result. We are also heading to the tribunal because it's a mandate to us, the mandate stolen by the REC of Imo State, the returning officer, and the Emeka Ihedioha.
Mr. Nwosu says he and his party are uncomfortable with the declaration of the People's Democratic Party candidate as the governor-elect.
Watching TVC News at 10 coming up.
The National Association of Nigeria Students calls on Governor Ibikunle Amosun to clear backlog of bursary for students of Ogun State.
Plus, 8 countries ground Boeing 737 MAX 8 model following Sunday's Ethiopian air crash. Stay with us for details of the stories and more.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, a reminder of our top stories.
INEC fixes 23rd of March for supplementary polls, keeps mum over elections in Rivers.
Suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria Walter Onohen's trial stalled over ill health.
Outside Nigeria, British lawmakers reject Theresa May's Brexit deal for a second time.
In sports, Louis van Gaal announces retirement from football management. Now, the National Association of Nigeria Students has called on the Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosun to ensure that it clears the backlog of bursary of Ogun State students studying in different parts of the country.
Now, they also appealed to him to ensure completion and proper activation of some model schools across the state. The students' union body urged the governor-elect, Dapo Abiodun, to also convert abandoned schools to vocational training centers for youth development.
To see it as an important assignment that it must achieve. Pay up the bursaries, accumulated bursary of 5 years, that is owing the indigenous student of this state before he leaves office. And if he refuses to do that, the incoming governor should as well do that to motivate Nigerian students and compensate them as a payback for delivering their constituencies respectively for him. That he should utilize all those schools built by this outgoing government that are not in use. He should convert them to vocational training centers for graduates in Ogun State. As such, when you are equipped vocationally, you will be engaged. The quest for job opportunity or for seeking for job will be reduced minimally.
Outside Nigeria, British Prime Minister Theresa May's deal to quit the European Union has been rejected by Parliament for a second time, 17 days before the planned departure date. Lawmakers voted against Mrs. May's amended Brexit deal by 391 to 242. This further deepens the country's political crisis and puts the world's fifth largest economy in uncharted territory with no obvious way forward. Likely scenarios may now see Britain exit the bloc without a deal, delay the divorce date, hold a snap election, or even another referendum.
I will return to the House to open the debate tomorrow and to take interventions from honourable members and to ensure the House is fully informed in making this historic decision. The Government will tomorrow publish information on essential policies which would need to be put in place if we were to leave without a deal. These will cover our approach to tariffs and to the Northern Ireland border, among other matters. If the House votes to leave without a deal on the 29th of March, it will be the policy of the Government to implement that decision. If the House declines to approve leaving without a deal on the 29th of March, the Government will, following that vote, bring forward a motion on Thursday on whether Parliament wants to seek an extension to Article 50.
Now, airline operators in at least 8 countries have grounded the Boeing 737 MAX 8 model following Sunday's Ethiopian air crash. 157 passengers and crew on board the plane died when the plane, which took off from the Addis Ababa airport heading to Nairobi, Kenya, came down 6 minutes after, leaving behind it tales of pain across the world. Citizens from more than 35 nationalities died in that crash.
The countries where Boeing 737 MAX 8 have been grounded include China, Ethiopia, Argentina, South Africa, Brazil, Mexico Cayman Island, and United Kingdom. Boeing has confirmed that it will deploy a software upgrade to the 737 MAX 8 a few hours after the Federal Aviation Administration said it would mandate design changes in the aircraft by April. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration says it would require the changes in less than 2 months. Just hours later, Boeing responded by confirming it will deploy a software upgrade to the 737 MAX 8, saying it's designed to make an already safe aircraft even safer. Boeing's new model has had 2 fatal crashes within 5 months, the first just last October
in Indonesia. The company says changes to the 737 MAX 8 have been in the works since. The 737 line, which has flown for more than 50 years, is the world's best-selling modern aircraft and viewed as one of the industry's most reliable. Meanwhile, Indonesia's Airworthiness and Aircraft Operation Directorate have inspected all Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes following the deadly crash involving the aircraft in Ethiopia. The inspection was focused on the angle of attack system of the aircraft, which was one of the causes of Lion Air's JT610 crash last year.
Back at home, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has assured the traveling public that there is no Boeing 737 MAX 8 in operation in the country. The reaction comes after increasing call for the suspension of that brand of aircraft in the country. The scare follows a deadly crash of that brand of Ethiopian aircraft bound for Nairobi. Lilian Ezemak reports.
Investigations into Ethiopian air crash which occurred on Sunday is growing along with renewed questions about safety of the Boeing 737 MAX 8 globally. But Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority says there's no cause for alarm as the agency is monitoring the outcome of the investigation to implement the safety recommendations.
If they come up with any findings by way of airworthiness directive, they are going to issue a directive, which is the normal process to the whole world, which CA, that is Civil Aviation Authority in every country, will enforce that directive.
The traveling public is apprehensive of Air Peace Airlines' position on the order of 10 737 MAX 8 aircraft from Boeing.
We can also assure members of the public that as of today, we don't have even a single of those MAX 8 in our fleet. We are at the moment at the stage of design and configuration.
Another is made for an aircraft. It takes a minimum of 4 years for it to be built. So those who order for it will have to take delivery in another 4 or 5 years' time. By which time, whatever has gone wrong, if there are any at all established, would have been correct.
How does the aviation market perceive the global scare of 737 MAX 8?
We are supposed to launch the 777X. They have to push that launch now. Now you have people that have ordered that aircraft. You now need to start convincing them that this aircraft is okay, and they would probably have to start renegotiating the prices for maintenance, spares, training, and even the cost of the aircraft itself, because the airlines have genuine reasons now to say they are no more interested and they want another type of aircraft.
Boeing unveiled 737 MAX 8 in 2017 and sold as a fuel-efficient, technologically advanced upgrade to its popular 737. The 737 MAX 8 became the fastest-selling plane in Boeing history. According to Boeing, the 737 MAX 8 is a single-aisle plane that has a quieter cabin and more legroom for passengers. The plane measures 39.52 meters long with a wingspan of 35.9 meters. It is equipped with LEAP-1B engines and has a range of 6,550 kilometers. The planes are still certified as airworthy by aviation governing bodies, but this has yet to stop more countries suspending the use of the aircraft in their countries. Lilian Ezemak, TVC News, Lagos.
Now, Boeing shares at the market dropped by more than 12% in pre-market trading after the crash of Boeing 737 MAX 8 in Ethiopia, which killed 157 people. TVC News' Baraka Lukuta reports.
The world's largest aerospace company, Boeing, shares dropped more than 5% on Monday and closed at $399.8. The stock had risen 28% over the past 12 months. The 5.3% drop in share price wiped nearly $13 billion off Boeing's market value. This is an abrupt reversal for a stock that had been the top performer so far this year on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. with a stock price of about $400 a share. The drag on the price wetted blue chip index on Monday, shaving more than 150 points off the Dow's advance. The industrial heavy Dow rose 0.79% as of market close. The deadly crash of a Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft on Sunday led shares of the aerospace giant to drop more than 11% as of market open. This development is threatening to wipe as much as $30 billion from Boeing's market capitalization. Dow started the day in a negative territory due to the struggles of its largest component, Boeing Company. Gains in shares of every other Dow component offset Boeing's declines. Some analysts believe the company will weather the storm in the coming months. The Nigerian Stock Exchange in 1996 suspended trading on the ADC airline shares after it had a deadly accident and subsequently witnessed rapid drop in share price. If this could serve as a reference, Boeing may be considering a more stringent measure to preserve the business at this trying time. Barakel Ukuta, TVC News.
Coming up in business after now, Central Bank of Nigeria to auction treasury bills worth 89.50 billion naira. That's in a moment.
All right, welcome to business. Let us tell you what the CBN has in store for those at the open market this week. It will auction treasury bills worth 89.50 billion naira. So let us break it down for you how this debt instrument will be sold by the regulator. First, it's the 91-day bills worth 5 billion naira, followed by the 128-day bills, and that is worth 14 billion naira. And the next one is 364-day bills worth 70.50 billion naira. Let's not forget that the maturing bills worth 215.86 billion is expected to hit the market this week to drive down interbank rates. The CBN has maintained the pace of open market operations in recent times as it's held 3 auctions last week for instrument worth a total sum of 645.8 billion naira across tenors. Analysts say the stop rates of the instrument will moderate in accordance with recent trend. And from treasury bills, let us go to telecoms now. Reports from the Nigerian Communications Commission indicates the country's broadband penetration has increased to 32.34% in January this year. This comes as the number of 3G and 4G subscriptions in the country hit 61.7 million as of January this year. Nigeria sets aside a 5-year national broadband plan from 2013 to 2018 with 30% broadband penetration from 5% in 2013. Don't forget that December last year, the country attained a broadband penetration of 31.48%. Staying with telecoms now, the number of active subscribers in the telecom sector increases to 172.8 million in fourth quarter of last year. This was disclosed in the data from the National Bureau of Statistics. This represents an increase of about 10.75 million when compared to the 162 million recorded in the third quarter of last year. It indicates a 6.66% increase in subscribers base. We're going to the markets now. Let us start with Nigeria. Many investors at the stock exchange stayed on market sidelines and held back funds from securities trading. Efengeko has more on that.
Business at the nation's stock market has not yet improved as many investors continue to hold down funds, citing market sentiments. As politics rules over the economy, many people talk about uncertainty still hanging in some quarters. Elections are inconclusive, making investment decisions weak. In market circles, many quoted firms are underperforming. The financial market also creates fear regarding the extension or otherwise of the stay of Mr. Godwin Emefiele at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Last week, speculations came that he was asked to go on leave, but the Apex Bank later countered the information. All of these affects market and trade sentiments. Today, market index measuring price movements was down heavily in the afternoon, throwing up different lines of price losers. Effiong Ekop, TVC News at the Stock Exchange.
All right, more markets now, and we are staying in Africa. It was indeed a mixed trading day today across the continent. In Ghana, the stock market was depressed by intense profit takings by investors. The market's indices dropped drastically. Top price losers were MTN Ghana and Ghana Commercial Bank. And in Kenya, the Nairobi market closed in red. Sales of stock holdings took investors' attention. Major price losers were Olympic Capital Holdings, Total Kenya, BOC Kenya, and East Africa Portland Cement. Finally, the stock market in Johannesburg, that's in South Africa, closed positive. Many investors played big in the fixed income market. Growing indices by large margins year-to-date, performance of the exchange showed at nearly 6%. And let me tell you how the oil market is faring. Crude oil price rises early on Tuesday at the international market as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia plans to cut down more of its oil exports next month. At London, the European Brent trades high at $66 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, price studies at $65 per barrel. And that is it on business, but still ahead in sports. Manchester City through to quarter-final stage of the Champions League after beating Schalke 04 7-2 in aggregate. Stay with us.
Welcome. Let's begin with the Champions League games going on at the moment. Let's inform you that Manchester City are through to the quarterfinal stage of the competition after beating Schalke 7-0, and that will be 10-2 on aggregate. Sergio Aguero, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, all of them were on the score sheet. And Juve, as it is at the moment, of course, are heading into the quarterfinals. That's if anything, of course, unusual does not happen, as they lead 3-0 through Ronaldo at the moment. Now, former Manchester United manager Louis van Gaal has called time on his football career. The 67-year-old who won the FA Cup during his 2 seasons and charged at Old Trafford announced his intention to leave football on a Dutch television. Van Gaal's trophy-laden career includes the 1995 Champions League title at Ajax, as well as 2 La Liga titles with Barcelona. He won the German Bundesliga title with Bayern Munich and guided Holland to a 3rd-place finish at the 2014 World Cup. And in tennis, Dominic Thiem and Gael Monfils have booked their places in the 4th round of the Indian Wells Tennis Championship. In the women's category, Venus Williams and Naomi Osaka made it into the next round. Dominic Thiem advanced to the 4th round of the PNB Paribas for the 3rd time between 27th seed Gail Simon 6-3, 6-1. Thiem has now won 8 consecutive matches against the French veteran, taking a 9-2 lead in their FedEx ATP head-to-head series. Thiem will next face 40-year-old Ivo Karlovic. And Gael Monfils' resurgence continued as the 18th-seeded Frenchman defeated Spaniard Alberto Ramos 6-love, 6-3 to reach the 4th round.
Oh, that will do nicely. Not bad wheels for a 38.
In the women's category, Venus Williams advanced to the 4th round in Indian Wells in a 6-2, 7-5 win over qualifier Christina Macheo. The 38-year-old, who is seeking her 50th career WTA Tour title in the desert, is showing vintage form. William has never won the event.
It's a wonderful journey at this year's BNP Paribas Open.
And Naomi Osaka rolled past. And US star Conor McGregor has been arrested in Miami for smashing a fan's phone as they tried to take pictures. Police say that the Irish fighter is being charged with strong armed robbery and criminal mischief. The incident took place as the 30-year-old left the Miami Beach hotel at about 5:20 local time. Miami police say that he knocked the phone out of the fan's hand, stamped on it, and then picked it up and left with it. The former champion has been in Florida preparing for his UFC comeback after losing his last fight to Khabib Nurmagomedov. That was last year. In other stories, the executive governor of Lagos State, Akumi Ambode, will commission the new Hall mini stadium situated in Lekki area of Lagos. That will be on Saturday. The stadium, which will become the home ground of New Hall Academy, has a capacity of 4,500. An official of the Football Academy, Biodun Agbaje, disclosed plans to have coaches from English Premier League champions Manchester City come into Nigeria to train young players. He said that the stadium facility will aid the development of Lagos-based youths who have the zest for sports.
This complex will be commissioned by His Excellency the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Akumi Ambode, based on his love for sports, and because also these facilities actually was completed during his tenure. We have also been talking to Manchester City about exchange program, having technical crew come to Nigeria to see what we're doing, and also exchanging the players on their, when they're in their youthful stage, to go and also play there and play, and also they also coming here.
And Formula One has confirmed it will change its scoring system. That will be this year by giving a point to the driver who sets the fastest lap in a Grand Prix. The move is part of an attempt to make the sport more appealing and grow more audiences. Drivers will only receive the extra point. That's if they finish in top 10 in the race. It was formally confirmed on Monday after the FIA's World Motorsport Council approved it last week. Formula One Managing Director Ross Brown says that the idea could improve the show while maintaining the integrity of the sport. And a former British Royal Marine has smashed the world record for transatlantic solo rowing by 36 days. The rowing Marine single-leg amputee Lee Spencer not only became the world's first physically challenged person to do the crossing, but also beat the able-bodied record for rowing solo across the Atlantic from mainland Europe to mainland South America. Spencer completed the record in 60 days, arriving early Monday morning in Caen, that's in French Guiana, beating the previous record set in 2002 by Norwegian Steinhoff of 96 days.
He's smashed the able-bodied record, which was 96 days, 12 hours, 45 minutes. Steinhoff from Norway. Hopefully fingers crossed, might meet him later this year. I've knocked 36 days off that record. I've taken a third off the record, the able-bodied record, which is beyond my wildest dream. Absolutely beyond my wildest dream.
All right, let's confirm to you now is full-time, and Juventus are through to the quarterfinal stage of the competition. Back to Azizat and Nefemi.
Well, it's really another interesting football season.
Absolutely.
And Ronaldo seems to have done
He's
it
on
again.
fire.
The guy's destined for the UEFA Championship.
Indeed.
Well, finally, TVC News environmental program Green Angle has won this year's edition of Green Accord Media Award by Green Accord International.
Absolutely, and the award was received by the producer and presenter of Green Angle, Ugochi Oluigbo in Italy. Organizers say the award is a recognition of TVC News' sustained advocacy against the destruction of natural resources and wildlife, as well as the dangers it holds for the future. The award is in partnership with Region Toscana under the patronage of UNESCO, Italian Ministry of Environment and Foreign Affairs, the municipality of San Miniato, the Carabinieri Forestati. And by this award, TVC News now joins the ranks of the world's elite media organizations, such as Australian show Smart Money TV with John D on Sky News Business Channel and Guardian Environment Desk, who have all won the awards in the past. We keep winning, and congratulations to TVC News, Green Angle, and of course the presenter and producer Ugochi Oluibu.
Indeed, another big win.
Absolutely.
To know that we didn't have to enter for that award. I mean, someone just noticed that TVC News, and indeed that program is doing it.
You know what they say, a good wine needs no bush.
Aha,
and on that note, let's give you a recap of our top stories.
INEC fixes 23rd of March full supplementary polls, keeps mum over elections in Rivers.
Suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria Walter Onnoghen's trial stalled over ill health.
British lawmakers reject Theresa May's Brexit deal for a second time.
And in sports, Louis van Gaal announces retirement from football management. Thank you for watching TVC News at 10. You can get all these stories on our website as well. It's tvcnews.tv. Follow us on all our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Our handle is @TVC News NG. For breaking news, we break it first, of course. Thank you for watching and bye for now.